No one told you the truth about success, not because they wanted to hide it, but because most people don't even know it themselves. They chase it, they obsess over it, they watch it in others, but they never realize the brutal, sacred secret. Success is not a destination, it's a consequence of becoming someone you weren't before, a byproduct of doing the things most people avoid, of carrying pain without complaint, of waking up when you could sleep, of choosing discipline over desire. And here's the twist. Success doesn't reward the talented. It rewards the trained, the sharpened, the battle-tested, the people who learned to lead themselves when no one was watching, when there was no applause, and when failure felt like the only outcome. You've been told to hustle, to grind, to visualize, but no one told you that success is actually lonely, boring, and thankless for a long time. No one told you that success demands you betray who you are, or more precisely, who you used to be, that version of you who hit snooze, who needed validation, who justified mediocrity. They don't make it to the next level. You don't bring them along. You bury them. Because success isn't a reward for who you were. It's permission for who you've become. And here's the hardest part to swallow. No one is coming to give you that permission but you. There is no moment where it clicks. There's no mentor who saves you. There's no break. It's just you, your thoughts, your choices, and your obsession repeated daily until it looks like destiny. People see success as elevation, but it starts as excavation. You dig through your habits, your traumas, your laziness, your doubts, and you rip them out one by one. You look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm the problem, but I'm also the solution. That's the secret. No one told you that success starts when you stop blaming the world and start rewriting your identity, not your goals, your identity. Who are you when the cameras are off? Who are you when no one's checking? That's where it's decided, not on the stage, not in the win, but in the repetition that no one applauds. Success looks glamorous from a distance, but up close, it's dirty work. It's failure, reinvention, isolation, and blood in your teeth. It's showing up on the days you feel worthless. It's executing when your confidence is gone. It's staying locked in when the results don't show up. Everyone wants success until they realize it's earned in silence, without validation, without approval, and often without evidence. And that's the line. The dividing line between the ones who almost made it and the ones who became legends. The ones who built something unstoppable didn't just work harder, they suffered better, they carried more silently, they endured more privately, they didn't broadcast the struggle, they built through it. No one told you that success requires grief. You will grieve the version of yourself that couldn't handle the pressure, the friends who couldn't grow with you, the identity you clung to that kept you safe but small. Growth isn't clean. It breaks bones, it tears muscle, it rewires your nervous system. It hurts, but it also heals, because you were never meant to stay where you started. The goal was never survival. The goal was evolution, and evolution requires sacrifice. So here's the truth they don't print on Instagram. Success is ugly before it's beautiful. It's heavy before it's light. It tests you before it rewards you. It doesn't respond to hype. It responds to habit. And if you keep showing up long enough, it stops being something you chase and becomes something you carry. It lives in your posture, in your tone, in your energy, in your results. And by the time the world notices, you won't need them to, because you'll already know who you are. But none of this happens without pain. None of this happens if you keep looking for shortcuts, for comfort, for the perfect plan. Success isn't in the strategy, it's in the standards. It's not about what you say you want, it's about what you tolerate, what you repeat, what you allow. Your results are a reflection of your non-negotiables, not your dreams. You don't get what you hope for, you get what you build. And you either build habits that break you, or habits that make you bulletproof. No one told you that the hardest part of success is keeping it once you have it, because success is not a summit, it's a cycle. It resets every morning. And if you don't rise with it, it moves on without you. That's why the best never stop. That's why the obsessed look crazy to the comfortable, because they know you don't rise to your dreams, you fall to your disciplines. And that's the real secret. Success doesn't feel like success while you're earning it. It feels like sacrifice. It feels like silence. It feels like doing more than is required with no applause, no attention, no confirmation, until one day the world finally notices. But by then, you won't be doing it for the world anymore. You'll be doing it because it's who you are. And that's the end game. Not money, not fame, not comfort, but self-respect. Looking yourself in the eye with zero doubt, zero guilt, and zero apology. Because you know you didn't cheat the process. You know you walked through fire without flinching. And you know now that success is not something you get. It's something you become. There's another part no one told you about success. It doesn't feel how you think it will. You imagine it as this moment of joy, validation, of crossing some grand finish line where everything finally makes sense. But in reality, success feels like responsibility. It feels heavier than failure. Because once you realize what you're capable of, you can never go back. You can't pretend you don't know. You can't unsee the work it takes. You carry that knowledge with you, not as pressure, but as purpose. And that changes everything. You start walking differently. Not because you're proud of who you are, but because you're no longer ashamed of what you were. No one told you that success isn't about being ahead of others. It's about being ahead of who you used to be, every day, every hour, every second. That's the real scoreboard. Are you outworking the version of yourself that would have quit 6 months ago? Are you staying focused longer than the you who used to be distracted by everything? Are you mastering the emotions that once owned you? That's success. Not cars, not applause, not titles. It's winning battles no one sees. It's beating your yesterday with such precision that mediocrity doesn't even remember your name. Because real success, it's not loud. It doesn't brag. It doesn't beg for followers. It doesn't need to prove itself in comment sections. It shows up in silence, in how you carry yourself, in how you recover when life punches you in the mouth. And it shows up when you walk away from things that used to own you, the distractions, the addictions, the excuses, the people, the old you. The real prize is the discipline to walk away from everything that insults your future. That's what no one talks about. That's the real secret. Success is built not just by what you chase, but by what you're willing to leave behind. And sometimes that means walking away from the version of you that other people still love, the one they're comfortable with, the one that doesn't threaten their comfort. But growth is offensive to people who gave up. Your transformation will feel like betrayal to those who chose stagnation. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be willing to be misunderstood, judged, doubted, left behind. Because you are not chasing applause anymore. You're chasing alignment. You're chasing a life that makes sense when the doors are closed, when the followers are gone. When it's just you and your thoughts. Are you proud? Are you at peace? Are you in motion? That's the score that matters. That's the victory no one can take. You want to know the secret to success? It's being able to look in the mirror and say, I kept the promise. I said I'd become this. I said I'd push through this. I said I wouldn't go back. And I didn't. That level of self-respect can't be bought, can't be faked, can't be borrowed. You earn it in the trenches, in the unsexy, unseen, painful decisions that no one celebrates but you. That's where success lives, in the spaces between who you were and who you refuse to stay. And if you're still listening, if this is hitting something deep in your chest, good. Because that means there's something inside you that hasn't quit, something that still believes, something that's been waiting for permission to rise. Here it is. This is it. This is your moment to let go of the lie that you need to be perfect, that you need to have it all figured out, that you need a sign. You don't. You just need to start. You need to stay. You need to stop breaking the promises you make to yourself and do the work long enough that your results start screaming the truth for you. Because no one needs to understand your path. It's yours. No one needs to clap. That's not why you showed up. The real ones don't need cheers. They need the mirror. And the mirror never lies. No one told you that success requires you to become unreasonable. That logic will fail you. That playing it safe will keep you small. Because the world isn't changed by those who do what's normal. It's changed by the ones who defy the odds, bend the rules, break their patterns, and rise so far above average that people have no category for them. And that kind of transformation, it demands delusion. The good kind. The kind that says, I don't care what the odds are. I'm becoming this anyway. the kind that makes people uncomfortable because it reminds them how much they've settled. That's what it takes. A dangerous belief in yourself, one that doesn't flinch when you fail, one that doesn't die when you're doubted, one that doesn't break when it's silent. You want the truth? Most people lose because they keep negotiating with comfort, with their past, with distraction, with people who don't want to grow. But the ones who win, they burn the bridge. They don't just want success, they make it necessary. They raise the stakes so high that staying average would feel like suffocation. That's what changes you. Not motivation, not good intentions, but desperation, sacred desperation. The kind that comes when you look around and realize, I refuse to live like this any longer. Because eventually, life corners you. It puts you face to face with your decisions, your habits, your compromises, and in that moment, you either crumble or you rise like you were always meant to. You stop blaming your circumstances. You stop waiting for the timing to be perfect. You stop feeding weakness with justification. You take the pain, the setbacks, the betrayals, and you alchemize it into power, into fuel, into purpose. Because success doesn't come to the one who suffered. It comes to the one who used their suffering, who turned it into a reason, not a wound. And here's the most brutal truth. You don't get to keep your old identity and still claim the life that was meant for your future self. One of them has to die. And the longer you try to live in both worlds, the more your life will feel stuck, split, hollow. But when you choose, when you go all in, no backup plan, no mental escape routes, everything changes. Not all at once, not overnight, but in motion, in momentum, in alignment. You begin to attract the life you once thought you had to chase, the people, the opportunities, the clarity, the confidence. They don't come to the old you. They come to the one who paid for them in silence. And when they come, it won't be luck. It won't be a miracle. It will be the inevitable return on relentless work, the interest earned from consistency, the harvest from the seeds you planted when no one believed in you, not even yourself. You want the secret about success? Here it is. It doesn't come to the loudest. It comes to the last one standing, the one who kept going, who kept building, who kept believing long after it stopped being easy, popular, or fun. That's who gets the reward. That's who writes the legacy. So now the question is simple. Are you willing to outlast the old you? Are you willing to keep showing up with no guarantee? Are you willing to walk alone until you become someone who never needed a crowd to begin with? Because that's what success demands. And that's the secret no one told you, not because they didn't want to, but because most never lived it long enough to find out. No one told you this either. Success is rented, and the rent is due every damn day. There is no finish line. There is no point where you arrive and say, I've made it. If that's what you're chasing, an end point, then you're chasing comfort, not greatness. And comfort is a liar. It will tell you to slow down, to take your foot off the gas, to enjoy the view while everything you've built starts to rot beneath your feet. You can't afford that, because if success made you lazy, it was never success. It was luck. If it made you soft, it was never growth. It was a gift you didn't earn. And what's unearned is always taken back. The ones who stay on top, they don't get bored of the basics. They don't look for hacks. They don't need praise. They love the work. They're addicted to improvement, not to prove anything, but because it's who they are. And here's what no one ever tells you about real success. It's not about what you accumulate. It's about what you become, what you leave behind. Every rep, every late night, every lonely moment of discipline is a brick in the foundation of something that will outlive you. Your habits echo after you're gone. Your mindset leaves footprints. Your identity shapes everyone you touch. So what are you really building? Another highlight reel? Another illusion? Or are you becoming someone whose story makes people believe again? That's the power you're holding in your hands right now. But it only becomes real when you stop chasing moments and start living in the process. Every second you hesitate, you're delaying someone else's breakthrough. Every time you hold back, you rob someone else of the strength they could have found in your example. You want to change your life? Here's how. You don't just raise your standards, you raise your ceiling on what's possible, on how much pain you can hold, on how long you can go without applause. You push so far into your potential that the past version of you wouldn't even recognize this new animal you've become. And when the doubts come, because they will, you don't argue with them. You outwork them. You bury them in proof. You suffocate them with results. This is where everything shifts. When you stop trying to get ahead and start refusing to fall behind. When you stop talking like a leader and start leading yourself. When your dreams stop being fantasies and start becoming appointments. When your goals aren't hopes, they're deadlines. That's when life starts bending for you. That's when you step into the rare air, where average can't breathe and weakness doesn't survive. That's where you belong now. And the wildest part, you haven't even hit your final form. You're just waking up, just now realizing that the world you want isn't behind some locked gate. It's behind your unwillingness to quit. It's already yours, but only if you're willing to pay the price, daily, ruthlessly, with fire in your bones and no exit strategy. Here's what they never told you. You don't earn success. You remove everything blocking it. Success isn't out there, hiding behind hard work. It's already within you. But the reason you haven't felt it, the reason it always seems one step away, it's because you're still dragging versions of yourself that were never meant to go with you. Old habits, old stories, old fears dressed up like logic. Every layer of mediocrity still stuck to you is a delay in your destiny. And until you get radical, until you begin subtracting as aggressively as you once chased, you will keep living a fraction of the life that was meant for you. Most people think growth is about adding more knowledge, more effort, more tools. But the elite, the ones who make the leap, they understand. Real growth is subtraction. Cutting the excuses, cutting the comfort, cutting the people who make you soft, cutting the lies that feel safe. You don't become great by learning more. You become great by removing the things that are keeping you small. The old you is not going to walk out of this transformation. It's going to be buried by it. That's why real change is violent. It destroys your ego. It hurts because comfort doesn't die quietly. It screams, it begs, it justifies, and it'll offer you every excuse in the book to go back to what's familiar. But if you're serious, if you want what few have, then you'll have to become what few are willing to become. Obsessed, disciplined, unavailable to anything that weakens your soul. And this is the part no one wants to talk about. You will lose things. You will outgrow people. You will have days where everything in you wants to crawl back into who you used to be. Because growth feels like death. And in many ways it is. It's the death of laziness, the death of dependency, the death of the weak identity that served a purpose when you were just trying to survive, but is now suffocating you. Success doesn't just change your life. It demands you change your life. How you speak, how you think, how you show up. Every single day, you are either telling the world, I'm still that same version, or I've outgrown everything that used to break me. And here's the secret. The world listens. Your energy will either command opportunities or repel them. Not because of what you want, but because of what you are. And this is where most people fail. Not because they didn't want it, but because they never stopped carrying the weight of who they were. That version is heavy. It's full of fear, procrastination, overthinking, self-doubt. And you can't sprint into your future dragging chains made from your past. You want the door to open, drop the weight, burn the mask, move different, think different, become different. That's when you stop chasing success. And success starts chasing you. No one told you that success is only the beginning, that once you reach it, the real test begins. Can you sustain it? Can you multiply it? Can you pass it on? Because true greatness isn't selfish, it's contagious. But you can't give what you don't own. You can't lead if you're still running from yourself. So you have to go first. Bleed first, lose first, rise first. You have to carry the weight that others drop, and you have to do it quietly, without clapping, without credit. That's the burden of the chosen, the weight of becoming someone the world doesn't forget. You see, most people want to be successful, but very few are willing to become the kind of person success trusts. Because success is alive, it watches, it tests, it waits. It doesn't show up for the wishful. It shows up for the warrior who stayed in the fire longer than anyone else. And by the time success finally shows its face, it's too late for anyone to say you didn't earn it, because they'll see it in your eyes, in your discipline, in your posture, in your peace. That's the secret. Success doesn't come when you're loud. It comes when you don't need to be anymore. And maybe no one told you this either. You are not here to live a recycled life. You are not here to follow the path, play it safe, and die invisible. You are here to build a world that only you can see, and then walk through it with such unshakable faith that others begin to see it too. You are here to burn so bright with purpose that your life becomes a mirror for others to find their own fire. That's what it means to win, not to just achieve, but to awaken. And when you do, you won't need to tell anyone. Your energy will speak for itself. You'll walk into rooms and shift the temperature, not because of what you've done, but because of who you are. You'll become the proof, the walking evidence that transformation isn't just real, it's inevitable for those who refuse to quit. And when people ask what the secret was, you'll smile, because you'll know there never was a secret. There was only the work, the fire, the sacrifice, the obsession, the decision to never leave this life as the same person you entered it as. That was it. That was always it. So, now the camera fades. The screen goes black. But the war isn't over. It's just beginning. You know the truth now. You've heard the call. The only question left is, what will you do with it?